In the last session we did the red and the blue, and in this session we're going to do magenta and blue. Now magenta, like I was saying in the last session, is a warmer color than the red. It's got a little bit of warmer pigment in it, so it's going to give you a warmer lavendery like violet, kind of the violet that you're going to think of in your mind when you think of what violet really looks like. So what you're going to do, make sure your brush is nice and clean. I cleaned out my brush so that it's fresh and neat, and dump out any extra water from your container so you can have a nice clean brush to start with. Okay, and get some clean fresh water if you need it. Alright, then you're going to take the magenta, dip right into the magenta with your dry brush. Remember, this is tempera paint, so you want it to be thick and rich. You don't want it to be watery like watercolors. We've already done watercolors, so we want to make sure that you have thick, rich paint. And you're going to take your magenta, make a little blob in the middle that you're going to do your mixing with. You can kind of see on my palette I saved the blue from my last palette, so I didn't waste the paint, because we don't want to waste. Grab a little teeny pinprick of blue, mix it in to get a color that's just a little to the blue side from magenta. Not too much blue, but not too much magenta either. And notice how I kind of can wipe a little bit of the blue off on the side there. Remember, mix your paint really well before you do it. Okay, this one a little bit darker, just a hair darker than the other one. It's kind of hard to see maybe in the lights, but it's just a hair darker. Get the blue. Add a little bit more blue in for my red violet, but actually it's, I don't know what you're going to call it, magenta violet. Should be just a little bit darker. Okay, that's about what it looks like. Paint that in, and you already see the difference between the two colors from the red and the magenta, just because magenta is such a warmer pigment. Add a little bit more in here. Clean my brush off there a little bit. Okay, next one. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more blue for my total violet one. Should be kind of almost like lavender, a little bit darker than lavender maybe. And lavender is a plant. They call the color lavender because that's what color the blossoms of the plant are. Okay, so here's our lavender color that we're going to call violet, you know, because it's a magenta violet. Okay, so there it is, and I'm going to add a little bit more blue. Get a little bit darker. And there's really not enough difference between that one. I'm going to just swipe off my brush, get a little bit more blue to add in there, make it a little bit different. A little bit more blue for this one. There we go, that's more blue violet. Add a little bit more blue in. It's the last one before pure blue. And put that one right there. You can see it's a really rich blue color. And then I'm going to swipe my paintbrush off all the way. Get all the extra paint off. Notice I'm not washing it out because we don't want this last one to be watery. I'm going to paint my blue right in the rectangle there. Okay, so there's our spectrum from magenta to blue all the way through the warm colored violets.